Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our final session of Healing Hearts, Finding Comfort After Pet Loss. We're so glad that you took this journey with us, and we really appreciate you spending your time and bearing your souls about some pretty difficult things you're going through. So thank you so much. We hope that this series has been a blessing to you and that it's something that you can use moving forward to not only help your own situation if you're going through this again, or your friends, families, and kids. All this can apply to everyone else also. So we hope that that's helped you out. Nancy, thank you so much for devoting your time, and hello, sir. And your expertise and just your heart. We appreciate that. You helping people out with this. But for now, I'm going to turn this over to you and let you do this final session. And if you need anything from me, I'll be right here.
Okay. I'm honored to do this session with you, Erin, and I hope that people did benefit from it, because that's why I was here, to help people. Just a minute, I gotta get rid of something. To help people learn how to grieve. And like you said, it applies to everything, not just the death of a pet, but everything. There's different losses in life, from your favorite car to your best friend all of a sudden don't want to have anything to do with you and you don't know why. There's all different kinds of losses, and this can apply to life in general. So I'm glad you've been here to join in this with us, and that we've got the sessions recorded so that you can go back and watch them as you want to. I'm going to recap the sessions here. On week 1, we talked about that it's okay to cry, that grief is a natural and normal reaction to loss. And it's hard. Grief is hard. We have to work through it. It's not here today, gone tomorrow. It's a journey we have to travel. And we talked about pets, how they moved from a utilitarian state to being our companions. They've moved from the barn to the bed. We covered the many reasons why pets are so special to us, because they're our life companions. For one thing, they're with us, virtually 24/7 their whole life. And that means a lot to us. They've been with us through different events in our life. Everybody grieves differently. Everybody's got their own timeline, and there's no magic timeline. You just walk the walk and do what it takes to come out the other end and reconcile to your loss. You have to heal the pain you have to feel the pain in order to heal the pain. Intellect doesn't help. The left brain doesn't help. You can't overthink it. The right brain helps. The heart and emotions are what help you with your grief. We talked about the feelings of grief and how you might feel. In fact, we've got a handout on that has some of them on there, not all of them. And the homework assignment that week was writing a completion letter to your pet. And that was writing, pen and paper, because it's very therapeutic to have things go from your heart down your arm to your hand and onto paper. And you put everything on there that's in your heart. And there'll be tears. And then I suggest that you imagine your pet sitting there or standing there, and you read it out loud to them. And again, there'll be tears, but tears are good for us. They're therapeutic. The first thing we did in life was cry. On the second session, we talked about things we were taught as when we were growing up, or even as adults, where it's not okay to cry. And be strong. Show the kids that you can be strong. Well, all that isn't true. You need to teach your kids how to grieve. And there's other good things in that session about things that we're taught. We talked about the 4 types of losses, and we talked about the 5 stages or emotions of grief, which are shock and disbelief, anger, guilt, and regret, denial, depression, and then we get to the resolution and acceptance, where we'll have more happy thoughts and appreciate our pet being with us. the length of time they were, instead of, crying all the time. Not that there won't be grief later, as we talked about grief bursts, where something will remind you of your pet, and you'll cry, just, out of the blue. The homework assignment that week was a grief journal to get, whether it's an ordinary spiral notebook or a special journal, and write every day about your grief and how you feel. And don't read it for like 3 months. And then you can see how you've progressed in your grief. And we also talked about making photo albums or scrapbooks. And I talked about how I used to, have them printed, so it was easy for me. I struggle a little bit with the digital age, but I know there's apps out there where you can make them. I just haven't done it yet. But to me, it's a treasure. I've got photo albums I made for pets from a long time ago. And we were going to go over, I don't know what, I missed something. We also talked about, in session 3, we talked about the anticipatory grief, where your pet is ill or old and you are going to lose him. He is going to die. We talked about euthanasia. My opinion, my position is that you should be with your pet when they're euthanized. You should be the last voice they hear and the last touch that they feel. I just feel real strong about that, and then we owe it to them to be there with them. And also talked about telling the vet that you want time with them, whether it's a large animal, your horse, and there's a recovery vehicle waiting there. Well, tell the vet they don't need to be there at 3:00 when you're coming, because they're gonna have to wait. Or in the vet office, you've got your dog or your cat in there. Ask them for you to give you time, and they will. The only time I've known clinics was when it's closing time. They might come in and gently ask you, to wrap it up. Anyway, I think all that's really important. And pets do grieve for other pets and for people. I had several stories about that. They do, and we need to tell them what happened, and you act like they're children and explain to them what happened, and then reassure them that you will take care of them. Then we talked about the children in grief, where you use real words with them. Say the words die and dead, and age appropriate, discuss that. And then there's self-care. You have to take care of yourself. And that's the eat right, sleep right, exercise right, have some kind of stress relief. And there's 5, and I've only said 4, I think. But anyway, take care of yourself, because if you don't, you can't take care of anybody else or anything else. And then we went over some activities to help cope and release your tension. A big thing is walking or being in nature, or do kickboxing or have a punching bag, just whatever. We talk about punching a pillow, which can really get your emotions out. Anyway, you can go back and look at that session, watch it. And then we went over ideas for memorializing your pet. Now, this session is giving you information to follow up on. And of course, I'm curious if any book or poem has helped you. But we have a list of book recommendations. Could you bring that up, Erin? I'm going to cough just a minute. Well, they're our favorite grief books. Okay, on top there's a journal, my pet remembrance journal, Forever in My Heart. That's a really valuable journal. It gives you, topics to talk about or to write about. And, we always think we'll remember stuff, but we don't. And this is a good grief tool. You're writing down things about your pet, good and bad. And when you get done, and you don't have to finish it any time frame, and you don't have to go from page 1 to the last page. I've had people that just pick it up and turn to a page and see if they can write about it right then. But I highly recommend using that journal. There are other journals out there, but this is absolutely the best one I've found. And there's a list of books here. Dr. Wallace Seif, he has a website too that we'll bring up later about grief and grief support. The Final Farewell, I like that book. It goes actually from beginning to end. That is, a pet being sick and what they do and how they prepared for what they were going to do with the body and how they did research. And it's just pretty detailed. And here's Remember Rafferty, a book about the death of a pet for children of all ages. I just love that book. So the little boy has a dog named Rafferty, and they have happy times, and then he gets sick, and they know they're going to have to euthanize him. So they take him to the Dairy Queen or whatever, get him ice cream. They take him to the park, and he didn't want to do much, but they took him there. And then they took him to the vet, and they were with him as he died. And then it's just a lot of how his mother helped him, and then the neighbor lady helped him with his grief. He went over and ate 2 monster cookies. I've talked about, here, have milk and cookies, it'll make you feel better. Well, it does briefly, but it goes on that a lot about he dealt with his grief and his mom helped him. And then it gets to the place where maybe they'll want to get another pet, maybe. So they got a book and they looked, and anyway, the end is like, well, we'll get another pet sometime. Not everybody does. Some people have to get a new pet right away, and some it could be years before they do, or not at all sometimes. But anyway, the boy and Remember Rafferty, they were gonna go at some point find a new pet. Anyway, it just covers it from beginning to end on the grief journey. So I love that. Mary and Herb Montgomery, they write good. They're just really short, but they're really good. And the Cat Heaven and Dog Heaven, those are kind of oriented toward children, but again, they can be for children of all ages. When Your Pet Dies, Alan Wolfelt does a lot of grief work. So that's another good one. Of course, I wouldn't put them up here if I didn't think they were good. That Going Home, Finding Peace When Pets Die, that's good also. But he had a dog that he could not socialize. He tried everything to get him to be friendly with people, and it just didn't work. So eventually he had to euthanize him, or he would bite a kid, and then what? So it's a real emotional book, but he's an excellent writer, and I've always found it a special book. Let me see. The Cold Nose at the Pearly Gates. People in some of my pet grief recovery groups have really liked that book. He's got several, and then the Goodbye, My Friend. That's also a very good one. Oh, and here's one everybody should have: Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. You got to feel the pain in order to feel the pain. If you bury it, someday it's going to blow up. You can't just stuff your feelings. And these last ones are more, the 3, The Fall of Freddie the Leaf, The 10th Good Thing About Barney, When a Pet Dies. Those are more children oriented, but they can still be meaningful to us. And then A Dog's Journey is a novel, but I found it interesting. I think we've got a second page here. We got another page. Here's the online pet grief resources that I came up with. The petloss.net, that has a lot of loss and grief information on it, including 10 tips on coping with the loss of your pet, which we got her permission to hand it out at our cemetery and crematory. And then the Association for Pet Loss and Bereavement, that's that Dr. Wallace Seif that wrote one of the books. And they have, I believe that they do have an online group for grief. And the Grief About Pets, they do have a free online grief group monthly. Brenda, can't think of her last name right now, but Brenda has those. I've sat in on them. They're pretty good. And then the centering.org, oh boy, they've got lots of stuff too. But it's not only pets, it's people and all different kinds of losses. It's just a really good organization. And some universities do offer pet loss support hotlines. You just have to search for them. And then some community groups may have the grief support groups, but they're rare. You just have to look for them. I used to have one when I owned my business. We had one monthly, and there was another one in town, but they quit. Anyway, they're rare, but you can search for them online and hopefully find some if you have the need. Okay, I think that's it for that document. Can we look at something else?
I think you had, well, there's this one. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, that's part of the things you don't get told about grief. Of course, it's just a few, but you may lose weight, you may put on weight, you may not want to eat, you may eat comfort food, you might not sleep, but you might sleep all the time. You might get ill, you might not. Grief, especially in the early stages, is so physical. But as far as people, you will learn who really matters and who absolutely doesn't. Some people don't know how to deal with grief in another person, and they just literally don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And you will grieve for so many secondary losses too. I talked about this son who left his dog with his parents, and he went to Afghanistan and got killed. And then if they haven't fully grieved for him, when the dog dies, it's a all over again, multiplied. And actually the secondary losses are not walking the dog anymore, or not grooming the horse, just special things that you did that are secondary to the pet. We miss them. Like my little schnauzer that I had to take care of so many things, and then she's not there. And yes, grief is exhausting. And you will be changed as a person in so many ways, and that's a good thing. Normally, we will arrive at a more spiritual strength. We'll have a new normal. And sometimes it's really painful, but we get there, we've got a new normal, and we'll actually be a stronger person for it. Then there's, grief brain lasts for a long time. Short-term memory losses. So, what was I saying? I don't remember what I walked in here to do. That's grief brain. And it really, truly, absolutely, and most definitely never goes away. I say it gets softer. The edges aren't so hard and so painful. But, 20 years from now, something can remind you of your pet and you'll have a grief burst. You'll cry. It's never totally gone. And it's not like it is in the movies. And then all the paperwork. Well, that's more with a person, but there's so much paperwork. And not so much with animals, usually, but there's still paperwork you have to take care of. Okay. Okay, this is what we don't say and what we do say to people that have had a loss, that have experiencing grief. You don't tell them, don't feel bad, don't cry. You tell them it's okay to cry. I had that in church the other day. The lady she was actually speaking to the whole congregation, and all of a sudden she had a grief burst, and she apologized, Well, I went up to her afterwards and told her that's perfectly okay. It's okay to cry. But of course she was saying, well, I'm sorry. Well, it's okay to cry. You don't have to apologize for it. And I know how you feel. You absolutely don't know how another person feels. But you can say, I know how I felt under similar circumstances. And be strong for others. No, We don't be strong for others. We show our grief that it's okay to not be strong. And you can tell the people, I'm here for you. And don't tell them to be grateful that the pet was in their life. Just tell them you're sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, but he fed a little full life. Yeah, well, it wasn't long enough. So that doesn't help. We always wish that they were with us longer. And then we'll get you a new one on Saturday. That's parents to the kids usually. We'll go get a new dog, and they're teaching them that you can replace loss. That's no good. But you can say, well, Fluffy loved you so much. And grieve alone. No, you don't have to grieve alone. You can find a really good friend or an online group. Anyway, then tell them you really miss him, don't you? And keep busy. No, that doesn't help anything. You can tell them you were the best mom, the best dad ever for Fluffy. That means a lot to people. Just give it time. Time will heal. I don't know. As I said, time doesn't heal. It's what you do with the time. And you can tell people that you're praying for him. And he lived a long time. Did I skip? He must really be hurting. Oh, he's a better place now. Yeah, well, right. What's a better place than right here with me? And, tell me about some of your special times together. Okay, Jesus needed a little dog. Well, Jesus can have any little dog he wants. Why did he have mine? That's not a good thing at all. And you can just tell him you really loved Fluffy, didn't you? Yeah, I did. And God works in mysterious ways. Well, Fluffy will always have a special place in your heart. Everything works out for the best. Well, it doesn't seem like it now. It doesn't seem fair at all. I'm telling people that, well, it's time to move on. It was just a dog, or just a cat, just a horse. Well, there's not such a thing as just a horse. There are babies, there are companions. And then don't tell your own experiences. We always want to say, well, I can relate, when my dog died or my horse died, this is what happened. But no, it's not your turn. It's not your place to share your experiences. Then you listen to them, you ask them questions, and be there for them. And then down at the bottom is some suggested activities. Now, this is a page I created. Rolling Acres is my business. So this is a page I created back then. So there's a photo album and the screensaver slideshow. You can go through all those. I'm going to cough again, sorry. Your grief journal, your completion letter. Yeah, and write your pet story down. It's like a eulogy. Just write down your pet story from beginning to end. And the physical activities help you grieve. Working out, jogging, walking, we went over others in one session. You can volunteer at an animal shelter or rescue group, and you don't have to walk the dogs or clean the cat boxes. You can do office work or social media work or fundraising. I can't walk through a shelter. I can't, because I'm wanting to take them all home. So, but there are other things you can do to volunteer. That's how I got Raven. Walked through the barn down. Excuse me. There was a horse telling me, you need to take me home with you. And I'm going, no, I can't adopt you. Well, 3 weeks later, we were there picking her up. Attend a pet recovery group, talk with a friend. That's always helpful if they're truly sympathetic and not judging what you say. And making the things in memory of your pet. We went over that. Oh, we didn't do this. Put a photo on a pillow or a blanket so you can cuddle with your pet. I did that once. Our cat, Rambo, Bo for short, at the cemetery. He was a great cat. Anyway, I still got a pillowcase in here on a pillow. And you can make a memorial shrine, in your house or in your garden. Things to remember your pet by. And create a shadow box with pet mementos. And you can organize a garage sale to raise money for rescue groups of your choice in memory of your pet. They always appreciate that. Or up above, when we make things in memory of the pet, we can also donate those to rescue groups for their online auctions or their garage sales to help them raise money. Okay, I think that's all on that page. Oh, this is the most perfect poem. Scroll down and show the picture, Erin. There's the hole in us. Okay, go back up to the top, if you will. This is what grief is, a hole ripped through the very fabric of your being. The hole eventually heals along the jagged edges that remain. It may even shrink in size, but that hole will always be there, a piece of you always missing. For where there is deep grief, there was great love. Don't be ashamed of your grief. Don't judge it. Don't suppress it. Don't rush it. Rather, acknowledge it. Lean into it. Listen to it. Feel it. Sit with it. Sit with the pain and remember the love. That is where the healing will begin. I think that's just fantastic. Like grief in a nutshell and what you need to do.
That's great. All right, do we have another poem?
Well,
Let me find it.
yeah, you got a couple more. And you got the Rainbow Bridge somewhere.
Oh yeah, right here. Okay.
There's one called If It Should Be. And do not stand at my grave and weep. Rainbow Bridge.
Here we go.
I think that's it.
Here's the Rainbow Bridge.
A lot of people are familiar with this, but if you're not, it's a good one to read and to print out. You know, when the pets die, they go to the lovely land, which is a rainbow bridge. They go across the rainbow bridge. And there's food and water and warm spring weather, and the old and frail animals are young again. Those who are maimed are made whole once more. They play all day with each other, content and comfortable. There's only one thing missing. They are not with the special person who loved them on earth. So each day they run and play until the day comes when one suddenly stops playing and looks up. Then the nose twitches, the ears are up, the eyes are staring. You have been seen, and that one suddenly runs from the group. You take him in your arms and embrace. Your face is kissed again and again and again, and you look once more into the eyes of your trusting pet. Then together you cross the rainbow bridge, never again to be separated. We've used that a lot. We used to have a card with that printed on it that we'd give to people.
That's
It's a good-
nice.
They're waiting for you.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that. I even wrote an article about it once about pets going to heaven. Okay, this is one that's special to me in a way. You know, do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. Because you can read it, but somebody we love is in everything. And this is what helped me when my first sister died. When I realized she was still part of everything. She was part of me. She was part of, you know, I have quilts and things that she made, but she's just here everywhere. It just helped me a lot. So it's one of my favorites, you know. Well, you can read it, but well, I am not there, I do not sleep. I'm the thousand winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awake in the morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. You know, the body is there, but the spirit, the soul isn't. And they're in everything. They're in everything that we have. Anyway, it's one of my favorites. else I wouldn't be here. This is another one, and really it comes down to the bottom. Go ahead and scroll it down to the bottom. These words really touch me. Please do not grieve. It must be you who had, I'm getting teary again, who had this painful thing to do. We've been so close, we too, these years. Don't let your heart hold back its tears.
What poem does that remind you of, Nancy?
What poem?
Yeah, this one here.
Well, if it should be, things happen, we can't help them. I don't know what you're referring to.
Do you think of a particular pet with this?
Oh, probably all of them. I've probably got 30 pets at the cemetery, literally. And then we got a couple buried out here, 2 mules.
Yep.
And so it's just, we've been so close. So
Cool.
sometimes we have to relieve their pain.
Yeah, for sure. To do what's right. Yeah.
It's an act of love,
Yeah.
But better one day too soon than one day too late.
Yeah.
And I had that with Bunny's mother. She colicked, and she was like 31, so we weren't going to take her to the university to fix her. It was a nice day. It was a nice day, so the vet said, why not today? It's nice outside. It was winter. Do you want to wait till it's snowy and cold?
No.
So it's tough, it's hard, but we have to take care of them, even at the end. I think that was all the poems and such I sent. Again, back to the grief support groups. The universities, there are several universities that have online groups or counselors that will just talk to you sometimes, not necessarily group. So always search for that if you need extra help.
Yeah, nowadays it's great because there are, if you can pretty much find anything you're looking for if you look hard enough. So that is definitely a resource that would be available to you. And what's fantastic is just like doing this video series, you're in the Midwest, I'm on the West Coast. We're not even a couple states close, we're quite a bit away. So doesn't stop us though. And we've had a long distance relationship for quite a few years now, Nancy, with different things. So it doesn't need to be, in the same room, because you can still feel the support from people across the country, across the world.
Yep. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple other grief online, but I don't know that they've got a pet grief. One of them's called Grief Share, and I didn't put it on that list. And grieving.com, but I don't know that they address pet grief. And you have to find the ones that are open to pet grief, else you get laughed at. Literally not welcome. They're not welcoming usually.
Mm-hmm.
So there's help out there if you need it.
Yeah.
And again, I'd said before that if you need to go to a counselor, a therapist, that's perfectly okay. I've been to one times in my life, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Right. It just helps. It helps.
Well, I've just found that this little session, these sessions have kind of been interesting because I've found that I do things that I didn't know I was doing,
Mm,
that are positive. So, I had already mentioned this, but I had walked around the house and noticed that I have put up little areas about, different animals that I've had.
mm,
And
mm,
my daughter kind of does the same thing. I just put up that photo of the cross that she had made for her dog, Ruby. And
mm,
the other day we were cleaning out a drawer and it had my dog Roscoe's collar in it. So it's just funny how I
yeah,
kind of squirrel away little things to remind me of these pets. I
mm,
had pictures on my wall of two of my past horses, that I didn't even know that I had really put there. And then I also put their name tag on it, their nameplate. So it's just kind of funny
mm,
how we do that. But now that I've gone through this series with you, I recognize it for what it is. And then also recently my a couple clients slash friends have had to put their animals down, and it just made it a lot easier for me to kind of, I love the things not to say, because I generally don't say anything because I'm worried about saying something stupid or unhelpful. And so I love that list that you went over today. That's going to be super helpful, just helping me be better at it, because I know I'm not super good at it. So I kind of avoid the situation. I know other people are good at it. So I just, let
mm.
them take over that spot. So that's been really helpful, and just being more comfortable being able to talk to them about that. And especially now, because I'm still, I'm still not going to be great at it, but I can refer them to this, which is going to be
Yeah.
fantastic. So I'm really thankful that I mean, this was very organic how this happened, and I'm just super excited that we were able to do this together and have it offered to whoever needs it. So thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Was honored to do it, like I said. And yes, I hope it helps lots of people. And
Yeah.
as far as what to say to people, with practice, you'll get comfortable with it. When you look at that list of what to say and then remember what not to say, then it'll come more natural, easier to say the right things.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, did you have anything else that you wanted to go over for this session?
No, I talked about that. Remember Rhapsody, and I've got it here versus probably reading
Oh,
backwards. Just a
that looks
little book,
awesome.
and it's still out there. It's not inexpensive. I found out that I had one, but I went out and looked for it online. And I don't know, they're like $15, $16. Well, on Amazon, I didn't look elsewhere. But it's just a great book. I really love it.
Perfect.
And
And
yeah,
I will put up those sheets and references, resources, and poems up on the Facebook. And then I'll also have it available on the course, the session course outline too, for people to
yeah.
download and take a look at.
Oh, good, good, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me do this, Erin. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
happy to
Thank you
help
so
people.
much. And I'm so glad that everyone who has been along with us on this has participated. And thank you so much for being with us. Nancy, thank you again for your time and devotion to this subject. It's a tough one, and people
Mhm.
definitely need help with it. So to have someone to help them through it and kind of guide the way, this grief in general has been something that is kind of avoided. And
It
we
is.
try to help, but we say things that aren't helpful. And I think that is starting to change a bit with sessions like this, and just people being a little more aware of what works and what doesn't work is good also. So thank you again, Nancy. I appreciate you so much, and looking forward to what we got
Well,
coming in the future.
you bet. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
You too. You're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye bye.